Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, anyway, it's official. It's official. It's been reported. I mean, it had been reported last night that John George's alleged killer, we've still got to say alleged, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know whether it's unfortunately or not. We've still got to say alleged because at the end of the day, everyone is innocent till they're proven guilty, aren't they? Even when they go on the run and try and evade justice, you know, really, if you're innocent, of course, the first thing you should do is just go and hand yourself in and give your side of the story. So anyway, we're talking about John George. That's what we're talking about in this video. John George, the case that we've been following from day one, is this guy from Northern Ireland, 37 years old, lured to Spain, it's thought. Was he lured deliberately to kill him? What was the motive of killing John George? Anyway, whatever the motive is, that's sort of a moot point at the moment. The important thing is he was murdered and brutally murdered, horribly murdered and dumped. And then not only that, his loved ones, his family, were led on a sort of merry dance trying to find his body, trying to find their own sons, their own brothers, their own friends, families' body in the wrong place. Eventually, John was found, and, you know, the distressing details that have come out bit by bit. You know, apparently the family weren't given all the horrible details in the beginning. They've had to find out through the media like the rest of us, which seems like not very nice, does it? Anyway, at the end of the day, John was found. He was taken home. His dad, Billy, who endeared himself to all of us by his obvious love for his son and his determination to find his son, even though he knew that he was looking for his son's body. Anyway, he took him home, and then, of course, he laid him to rest, or his family laid him to rest, gave him the send-off that all of us deserve. And then the attention turned to finding out who did it, and it turned from finding George and taking him home, finding John George and taking him home, to getting justice for John George, and that's where we are at the moment. Meanwhile, one of the suspects was arrested. Seems like Michael Malley actually handed himself in and was arrested, released on bail on suspicion of aiding and abetting the murder. What will come out in court in the end, I don't know how much exactly his role was in it. But anyway, he handed himself in, and really he showed that that is the right thing to do, because he was then released on bail. Strict bail, you know, he has to report to the court, he had to surrender his passport, and sooner or later he'll be back in court and see what his judgment is. But the other suspect, of course, went on the run, and, you know, this is not what you do if you're innocent, is it? You don't go on the run. You hand yourself in. You say what you know. You give the family a break. You know, the thing is, things happen. My personal opinion about what happened here was some sort of, I don't know, drug-fueled, drunken argument, you know, and the thing is, if that's what happened and it was just like this crazy sort of night or whatever, you still have to hand yourself in. You know, by running away, it makes it look worse. You'll get a longer sentence. if he's found guilty, because he ran. You know, whereas I think Michael Malley, whether he's innocent or not, I don't know. I'm not commenting. I don't know who performed the actual murder. I don't know. But he will get more leniency just for the fact that he, you know, went to the police voluntarily or spoke to the police voluntarily. I think it, you know, it seems to be accepted that it's him who gave up, said where John George was, which was nowhere near where people had been searching for him. So that will go for him when it comes to his case. You know, whether you think it should or it shouldn't, but it will, because at least it helped the family take John George home. You know, who knows what's going on in the inside of this investigation. Of course, the Guardia don't really talk about anything. They're notoriously secret until the case comes out. Even after the case, there's not many details come out. They're not transparent in Spain like they are in America, and you know, in the UK they're not that transparent, but they normally get more transparent after the actual trial and the conviction, if somebody's convicted. But I don't know in Spain whether they even get that really transparent then. You know, that's just the way it is, unfortunately, and that must be awful for the family, because it's frustrating just for those of us that are following the case. So how that feels for the family, never getting any information, and of course they've got the language barrier. And you know, I would like to say, if any of the family are watching, and I've said it right from the beginning of this case, I'm happy to help with any dealings with the Guardia, because they're not easy to deal with. You know, there's a way of dealing with the Guardia. But anyway, never mind. I just want to put that out there. I don't put myself, you know, I don't like to put myself in the centre of cases, because it's about the family and it's about John George. It's not about me. And then, of course, you know, as a YouTuber, then people say you're just doing it for views. I'm not doing it just for views. I genuinely would like to see justice for John and his family. But if his family need any help from me, all they have to do is contact me and I will help, definitely. So before I start, I just want to say thank you to everyone. I don't even really want to do my thanks at the moment, but anyway, thank you for watching, subscribing, for liking, for being members, for buying Ko-fis or sending super chats. Thank you everyone so much for supporting my channel. Okay, so let's take that banner off. So I'm going to say hello to everyone who's here now. So what I'm going to talk about in this video is the fact it's been confirmed. It's in the Belfast Live. It's in the Irish press. I've now finally found it in the Spanish press as well. So I'm going to tell you what they're saying about it. We're going to have a little look at what's been said in the Justice for John group. And we're going to have a look at what the suspect who's been arrested's girlfriend has to say about it all, who, you know, seems to think, I don't know whether she thinks it's all sort of some game. She's very young. The only thing I would say on behalf of Madison, who of course is the girl that's involved, she's a very young girl. And I feel sometimes like, you know, how's she going to look back on this in 10 years' time? You know, is she 19 now? How's she going to look back on it when she's 29 and think, this is how I acted when a man was murdered? Is she going to be proud of herself? Will she have children by then who are going to think, oh, I'm proud of my mum. This is what my mum did. You know, treated it like a joke when a man was murdered. And not only that, you know, for a young girl like she is, and the sort of content that we saw that was on her, you know, public, on her X account, and, you know, what are your children going to think, you know, in years to come? And they say, oh, what did you do, Mum, when you were 19? Oh, I was making this content and I was showing it all over my social media, and everybody has seen all these things about me. Because the thing is now, it doesn't matter when you take it down, people still have it. It'll still be there. It'll still be circulating around social media. I don't know how your mum feels about that, or the rest of your family. You know, it's very sad, I think. Personally, I think it's quite sad for such a young girl to be in that position. Anyway, but that's her choices that she's making. She's still a grown woman. She's showing no signs of being sorry about what happened to John George. And we're going to have a look at sort of basically what she said, in the face of everything that's transpired. So, hello, all you lurkers. Hello, replay crew. And let's say hello to people that are here in chat. Hi, Annie. Hi, Mary from Belfast. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Laurie. Right. Okay. So let's see where we're going to start here. I think we'll start with the Belfast Live, who has confirmed about this arrest in Portugal, of all places. So not Thailand. There was a lot of speculation that the suspect in this case might have gone to Thailand. But no, he's been arrested in Portugal. So, Belfast Live, John George's family solicitor issues a statement as one person is to appear in court. This is the biggest news to date for the George family. So I want to talk a little bit about the George family because you know what they've put up with. There's been so much trolling of them. It's almost as thing is John George went the wrong way in life. I've said this a million times. His family said it right from the beginning. He wasn't an angel. They explained what had happened, like he, up to when he was 16, he seemed to be fine. He was a brilliant boxer. And then he got involved in things he shouldn't have got involved in, like a lot of teenagers. And I would always say, if you think your son or your brother or anyone in your family could never, ever do anything like that or get involved in anything like that, think again, because these things can happen to anyone. And sometimes when people start off on the wrong way, on the wrong foot, at that early age, sort of, especially adolescence, think of the series Adolescence that's out now. You just don't know. Puberty, teenage years are a very dark time for a lot of teenagers. There's not many that get through them unscathed one way or the other. They get involved with the wrong crowd, or they get involved in drugs or drink, or they get involved in crime. They might get involved with the wrong people, or they may become the wrong people. You just don't know, because puberty is just so destructive in so many ways, isn't it? There's, as I say, there's not many people, men or women, boys or girls, that get through puberty unscathed. And if you did, or if your children did, or if all your loved ones and no one in your family has ever fallen by the wayside, well, good luck to you. You need to thank God for that. So it's nobody's, in my opinion, it's nobody's business to judge. And as I say, John George's family right from the get-go said he wasn't perfect. He never claimed he was perfect, but nobody deserved what happened to John. John had never done that to anybody. Do you know what I'm saying? So, how did he sort of somehow deserve it? All this victim blaming is a terrible thing to do. And so the family have had to put up with a lot. They've been attacked. They've been accused of things. They've been called all sorts of things that I'm not even going to repeat here, even by content creators that have attacked them and seem to think, like just because John took the wrong way in life, he sort of almost deserved it. And you still feel sympathy for people. He hadn't murdered anybody. I know he wasn't perfect and he had done bad things. And of course, if he was involved in drug dealing or drug running, but the thing is, you have to remember as well, he was an addict himself. And that's how these gangs sort of take control of people. They offer them drugs. They sort of offer them the high life and this, that, and the other. It's the money, the Rolex. Rolexes seem to be a big. I wouldn't have a Rolex if you paid me to wear one. Because it's just like it's just a watch. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's a Rolex. It's just a watch. You just look at it and it tells you the time. What difference does it make? Why does it have? I honestly, luckily for me, I've always been sort of oblivious to these kind of things. I wouldn't care if I was wearing a Rolex or a little watch from the Chinese shop. I don't care. But you know, these things impress. And then of course we've got the toxic masculinity cult. You've got people like Andrew Tate telling you, you know, you should have this and you should have that, and you know, to make you even attractive to women. We've got the incels. There's so much going on, isn't it? Just be yourself. But anyway, so John, he fell by the wayside. He got involved with the wrong people. But from what I didn't know John George. I don't know his family. But from what I can see, it's not, and from comments that people leave, although I do get some nasty comments about John George, but they're normally from other creators, to be honest. People saying, oh, I knew John, or yeah, he was a lovely guy, or as I say, his cousins or his extended family, his friends for him now, or everyone says what a nice guy he was. So I have to come to the conclusion, I think he was a nice guy. Apart from that, you know, the photos and videos that I've seen of him, yeah, he might not have been perfect, and yeah, he might have been involved in bad things, but I cannot see that he wasn't basically a good person. Anyway, the ultimate thing remains that he was a father of 2 boys. He was a son, he was a brother, he was a cousin, he was all those things, a friend, a grandson. He's, you know, I don't see that someone could have all that love that John has received without being basically a good person. And, you know, we've all done things that we're not too proud of, myself included. I'm not a saint, and it's only God who can judge. And, you know, John will have faced his judgment by now. Anyway, so John George's family solicitor issues a statement as one person to appear in court. So the solicitor for the family of murder victim John George has confirmed one person is due to appear in court in Portugal on Wednesday. The murdered father of 2 from West Belfast was reported missing after he failed to return home from Spain in mid-December, and his body was discovered in January. So yeah, his family looked for him for nearly 2 months, didn't they? And then it turned out they were looking in the wrong place. They were sent. I mean, to me, that is even worse, or just as bad. They killed him, they dumped him, and then they tried to pretend that they were trying to help, sent details of where John George's body was, and he was nowhere near that. I mean, he was miles away. And the family even brought out a search team, didn't they, from Ireland, from Northern Ireland, to help, but they were looking in the wrong place. They didn't have a cat and hell's chance of finding John, because actually he was miles away from there. So Portuguese police have confirmed that one person is due to appear in court on March the 26th. So he's going to be kept in Portugal, March the 12th. Oh, that's today. So he's appearing in court today to face an application for extradition to Spain. Oh, he's definitely going to be extradited, because Portugal and Spain, they have close relationship. I can't see that he's not going to be extradited. And a statement from the solicitor, Mr. Winters, said, over a week ago, the family obtained significant information pointing to the possible location of 2 suspects in the Portuguese town of Braga. Oh, let's have a look where it is. So it was actually Billy and his family that received the information. Let's have a look on Google Maps. Now, I've been to Portugal. I've been to Praia da Luz, where Madeleine McCann went missing. Now, I didn't drive there. We went by plane, but it's so close. You could drive there quite easily from Spain, you know, very easily. Well, but that. Right, let me see where, hang on, let me get the map sorted and then we'll have a look at it, yeah. I just want to swap to look at this. So, here, Braga. Is that where it is? Let me just check, make sure that is. Barga, it says here. Where's Barga? I've got Braga there. Have I? It's Braga, not Barga. I don't think there is a city called Barga. No, it's Braga, not Barga, apparently. It's interesting because in Spanish, Braga, you'll laugh at this, Bragas are knickers. Like knickers. Yeah, I can't see a Barga. I can only see Braga on here. So Braga is a city in the far north of Portugal, northeast of Porto. Porto is perhaps a place. If you know anything about Portugal, Porto is quite a well-known place. And Braga is here. It's got to be Braga. So you can see this is the border of Portugal. You know, it's right up in the north of Portugal, really near the border where it goes into northern Spain, Vigo and Pontevedra, etc. So yeah, I think they've used the wrong word there. Anyway, so Portugal, I went to Praia da Luz, which is not far from Porto, I don't think. I'm not very, you know me and geography, it's bloody I'm rubbish. But you can see that it's actually, here's Spain. Let's go down to Alicante is where this suspect was living. They've got Alicante there, Benidorm. So there's a really good motorway system all the way along here. I've driven it. I've not been to Portugal by car. I've only been to Portugal by plane, but it's a very quick flight. But yeah, you would drive all the way along here past Granada, Seville, and then you're over the border to Portugal. You know, I've been to somewhere right on the border, Tarifa it's called. You'd go past Gibraltar and through there. So you can see actually to get to Portugal is not difficult, but of course they were in Braga, I believe, saying Braga in this news article, but I don't think that's right. So some way they've either gone across the border here and then travelled up Portugal, or they've gone through Madrid and across and over the border up here. I mean, they could have gone anyway. You know, there's lots of different ways. The road network in Spain is really good. So easy to drive around Spain, drive to Portugal, drive up to France. It's easy as anything. Really good roads, not much traffic. There's tolls, that's all. But I mean, that's what you pay for. You pay for the good roads. So yeah, this is apparently where they've been caught. So we'll see. Right, let's go back to what I was reading. So yeah, the family obtained significant information pointing to the possible location of two suspects in the Portuguese town of Braga, they say, but I think it's Braga. That I feel like, am I, let me just check again. Because you always think, you know, the mainstream media, they're going to be right with what they say. Yeah, it's not Braga, it's Braga, definitely. And Braga means knickers in Spanish anyway. So that information, not that it matters, but it does matter where they were caught. That information was passed immediately to the authorities. However, after a frustrating wait to see if there was any headway, the family took matters into their own hands and travelled to Portugal in an attempt to get a meaningful response to the information supplied. You know, this is the problem with the, you know, the Spanish police. They do, you know, they're efficient, but they don't act quick. So I can perfectly understand why, as a family, if that was your son, and you know, they just want the whoever did whatever to their son to be brought to justice. So if they've got the wherewithal and the means to go and try and find out, well, you know, why not? As a result of subsequent direct interfacing with the Portuguese authorities, contact was made with their Spanish counterparts, who immediately identified a key investigative lead. As a result of intensive collaboration between the family and the two sets of police, Portuguese police have now confirmed that one person is due to appear in court on Wednesday, the 26th of March, to face an application for their extradition to Spain. If granted, the suspects will face immediate questioning on the circumstances surrounding the murder of John George. It's understood that both suspects are from the wider Belfast County Antrim area. Now, the thing is, it seems like the suspect was arrested with their girlfriend, but only one person is appearing in court. And when I read you the Spanish news about it, you'll see that that's what they're saying. He continued, "This is the biggest news to date for the George family. It's precisely the sort of breakthrough they've been hoping for since December last year. I commend their absolute tenacity in pursuing every line of inquiry and then in turn making sure the various European authorities act on what they've put together. Their input has been crucial to inform decision making on this extradition warrant." And speaking with Billy George tonight, he's over the moon with the news and just keen to see the next stages of the legal procedures get underway. So Billy was enjoying himself on Facebook last night, and you know, he's obviously euphoric. I mean, it doesn't bring John George back, does it? It doesn't bring his son back, but he must feel great that this person who's evaded, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's 26th of March. And this person sort of did a runner sort of back at least a month ago, if not 6 weeks ago. And there's been all this conjecture where they were. And so there must be a euphoria, even though it's tinged obviously with sadness because of what's happened to John, that can't be reversed. But, you know, the only thing this family have got left is to do what they can to bring justice for John George. And it's funny because I was watching, there are a couple of things that I've watched recently. A lot of families that have lost their loved ones, be it they've been murdered or they've disappeared, or, you know, they say their life now is to do what they can to either, you know, because if they've lost their loved one, they can't do anything for that loved one anymore. You know, the people I'm thinking of in particular, I watched a video about one of the victims of the Southport stabbing, Elsie Dott, one of the little girls that was murdered, and her dad has been running a marathon, and her mum was talking and saying, "This is what we do for Elsie now. We keep her name alive." They can't do the normal things, you know, that you do for children, you know, getting them up in the morning, making the breakfast, making sure they're okay, buying them some nice clothes, taking them, you know, to nice places that they'll enjoy, give them a hug, read them a story. Can't do those things anymore because some twonk has taken that away from you. So you get like almost a new normal, if you like, or a new way of being a mother to that child or a father, is like keeping their name alive, doing things positive, you know, doing things positively to keep their name alive. Because as long as people are talking about their children, not talking about the twonk or what happened to them and that, not the actual incident, I think you have to, you know, I will never mention that man's name again. You know, he's inconsequential, he's in prison for the rest of his life. It's all about keeping Elsie's name alive, because Elsie's not here on this plane anyway. So this new normal takes over. Same with like when we were looking at Dylan, and we had Dylan's mum who on the stream when we had the interview, etc. Becky Ramsey, you know, Dylan has gone, unfortunately. You know, this is a different circumstance. Dylan drowned, but he's gone. But there's still a way, so she can't be a mum to him in the way of, you know, getting him up in the morning, making his breakfast or whatever she was doing. She was 13 years old at the time, so older than Elsie Dot. But you can still do it in a different way. This is the new way of being a mum or a dad when you lose a child. The new, you know, it's the new reality. It doesn't mean to say you can't still be a parent to that child. It just takes a different form, doesn't it, than when your children are actually here. You never think you're not going to be able to look after your children, regardless of age, to be honest. You know, you think with your last, this is how I feel, you know, children are difficult however old they get, but and you will, but with your last dying breath, you are going to do something for them, aren't you? You are going to do something for them. That's what you do. You know, if they need you, you're there. But if they're not there anymore, you may have to help them in a different way. But as long as their name's been spoken, as far as I'm concerned, they are still with us. As long as they're remembered, or you know, it's important. But I've gone off on a bit of a waffle there, sorry. So he's just keen to see the next stages of the legal procedures get underway, and the sooner that happens, then the sooner his family will feel they're at last getting some justice for John. So that's the Belfast Live. That's how the Belfast media is announcing it. Now, bye Annie, good luck with your eye test. Now what we're going to look at is what the Spanish news are saying. Let's have a look. I've got that somewhere. Where's the Spanish news? Now, Información Vega Baca, which is like one of the local newspapers, they've you know, on their sort of social media, captured in Portugal, the fugitive looked or searched for killing a Northern Irishman in Rocales. Now, the problem with this is the photo they've got there is of Michael Malley. This was Michael Malley quite a while ago now, when he appeared in court in Torrevieja, and then he was released on bail. So I have put a comment there and said, this is not the man that's been captured, because that's a bit of a misleading headline with that photo. That's not him. Anyway, let's read the article. So, captured in Portugal, the fugitive search for killing a Northern Irish guy in Rocales. And again, they've got the photo. Oh no, they do say there in the small writing, this was the first person arrested for the crime, who is free. He's on bail, basically. Quedó libre con cargos means he's on conditional bail. So he wasn't found in Thailand, as it was speculated in the beginning. In fact, he was found in Portugal. The fugitive, searched for by the Guardia Civil and a court in Torrevieja as the presumed main author of the murder of John George by shots, the Northern Irish citizen of 37 years old, whose body was found on the 7th of January in a lemon grove in Rocales, was arrested on Tuesday in the Portuguese locality of Braga. So they've said the right word. So it's Braga, not Baga. According to what has confirmed, sources close to the case. Different mediums of communication have informed that the detention of the two suspects related with the murder of John George, will have to attend this Wednesday, which is today, before a Portuguese court. However, the three requisites made in the end of January by the courts in Torrevieja is instruction numero dos de Torrevieja. Two of those European orders and international orders of arrest will be directed only towards the suspect that allegedly shot John, and the extradition will only be for this man. So basically, they arrested two individuals. We can presume that one was Johnny and the other was Madison. But Madison doesn't have an arrest warrant out for her. So there's three arrest warrants out for Johnny, wasn't there? And the arrest warrant that he'll come under will be the European arrest warrant, won't it? And the international arrest warrant. So the national arrest warrant would only count if he was in Spain. So there's two that would count for him there in Portugal, the European one and the international one. So the Portuguese police have confirmed only one arrest and have signalled that the suspect fled after his crime to other. It says that maybe he did go to Asia and because it seems to be saying there, el sospechoso huyó tras el crimen a terceros países, supuestamente situados in that he may have gone somewhere else and then come back to Portugal, but I don't know. So the arrestee, 26 years old, this is, of course, Johnny, will be taken before the courts, where he will be, the solicitation, God, it's so difficult to translate on the hoof, where they will look at his arrest and the extradition request to Spain. And this is what the Portuguese police have said. So he is an acquaintance of John George, whose image has been dispersed in different social media by family and friends of the murdered man. We shouldn't, honestly, I've been sort of, umming and ahhing whether to put his picture on the thumbnail, etc. I don't want to put his picture out there because I don't think that will be good for the court case, that's all. Everybody knows who he is. I know social media have shown his photo and this, that and the other, but you've got to think about the upcoming court case. His defence lawyer is going to make a meal of that. Michael Malley's defence lawyer is already making a meal of it. That, it wasn't fair because everybody distributed his photo, etc. So, you've got to be careful of it. So the Guardia Civil had suspicions that he might be in Portugal. And according to what Irish media has published, the family of the victim would have given valuable information over the location for his arrest. So the Guardia Civil has already arrested a Czech citizen, that's Michael Malley, of 32 years, who appeared before the judges or before the courts in Torrevieja, and he is free on bail. This man is investigated initially, investigated initially as the presumed killer, this person is investigated initially as the presumed author of accomplice. So this is it. That doesn't mean to say, now the other thing I just want to say is that doesn't mean to say that further down the line, Michael Malley his charge won't be changed. Maybe he was the killer. Maybe they both killed. Maybe they joined in together, did it together. One thing you can be sure of is they're going to blame each other for this murder, because each of them will be trying to get off with the least sentence possible. But the thing that, and this is what I've been saying, trying to say to Johnny or to his family, when you run, that's not good in the long run. Now, when he goes to court, the judge is going to look at what did Johnny do? He ran off, and what did Michael Malley do? He turned himself in and gave up the information of where the body was. So who's going to get the best treatment in court? And the thing is, you can't be on the run forever. I mean, he hasn't been on the run 5 minutes hardly. But imagine if that had gone on for years, months. What's he going to do? Be on the run forever? You have to think about it sensibly. And, I do feel, it seems like his mum's got a strong influence on his life. She should have made him give himself up. If you really were caring about your son, the best thing he could have done right from the beginning was give himself up and take his chances with the court, say what had happened, make what, probably maybe he was, just that off his head or whatever. Maybe there was some self-defense. I'm not saying there was. I'm just saying now the fact that he legged it and ran off, it just looks bad. If you take it from a devil's advocate point of view, if he was my son, I'd be saying to him, look, you've got nothing to hide. You go off and hand yourself in. Anyway, so when he appeared in court, Michael Malley, this is what it's saying, denied his participation in the death of John George, and his testimony was important for the Guardia Civil to locate the body of the victim. So you know what? Michael Malley's going to, he's going to do well in court because he gave up the body. He's, he's got himself a lawyer. He's done what he should have done. I'm not saying he's innocent. I don't know because I wasn't there. So I have no idea what actually happened that night or day or whatever it was. All I'm saying is Michael Malley has done the best thing for him, whether he did it for, probably didn't do it because he cared about John George's family, but he's done the best thing for him. And Johnny Smith has done the wrong thing for him. And, he'll get treated worse because of that. So John George travelled last December to go on holiday to the Costa Blanca to meet up with friends in Cabaroig in Orihuela Costa. 14th of December was the last time that he spoke on the telephone with his family. And the 18th of December, he had a flight booked from the Alicante airport, but he didn't get on the plane. Well, of course, we know now that it wasn't him who booked that plane. It was probably Johnny. Family and friends of George went to Alicante to organise searches, including rescue teams with specialist dogs. But of course, that was all futile. That was such a waste of time and money because they were searching in the wrong place. And the body, el cuerpo tiroteado, is like the shot body, if you like, of John George was found on the 7th of January by the Guardia Civil underneath a lemon tree in a finca in Rocales. So that's where we are with that. It's someone's been arrested, but not this guy. Michael Malley gave himself up ages ago, but he is on bail. Now let's have a look at how Madison, who is Johnny's girlfriend, has reacted to this. Does she give a shit? No, she doesn't give a shit, does she? So she's been on her Instagram. Apparently she's reactivated her Instagram. And here we go. Let's have a look at what she's got to say.
Do you know what I say? Fuck them. Exclamation point. Fuck them. Yeah.
Fuck them. That's what Madison's got to say. So a man's been murdered. She doesn't give a shit. She's just eating her strawberries on her Instagram account with it looks. Do you know what? I do feel sorry for this girl, I've got to say. Has she had fillers already? She's 19 years old. She looks like she's had some fillers to me. Oh my God. What the fuck? It's I mean, Madison will probably look at me and think, what are you talking about, great grandma? But you know what? I don't give a shit. But the thing is, like, she doesn't give a shit. But, I'm not the one who's been complicit in the murder of someone and destroying a family. How can she not get? Why do this? Why do this video? What is it? It's just like rubbing it in people's noses, And I'm sorry, the way I think of it is this girl. I do think of Madison as a victim because she is, to me, just a child. She's a child. Talk about people going the wrong way in life. And I just think if you're going to have fillers when you're sort of 19 years old, where are they going to be in 20 years? What, you're going to have them removed? Are they going to slide down your face? Maybe you won't. Sorry, I'm being sarcastic, but, it's true. I just can't imagine. To me, she looks like she's had some treatment on her face. And for a 19-year-old girl, I just think, why? And she's a very attractive girl. I mean, she's a beautiful girl. But, what she's done with her beauty and her looks is just, degraded herself on social media. And as I say, what your kids going to think one day, Madison, one day you will have children, I presume. 10 years, what? And then maybe when they're teenagers, when they're your age, will they be seeing these videos of you with, in sexual acts, etc., publicly?
Fuck them. Alex and fun.
Yeah, well, you're not every woman, Madison, because first of all, you're a child. And anyway, I'm a woman, you're not me. So you're not every woman. You're not most women, to be honest, would not do what you've done. Now, come on, you've got a mother out there somewhere, I presume. Where is she when she's not telling you? This is just not, it's just not worth it. Was it all worth it? Will you think in 5-10 years, was it all worth it just because you fancied some twonk? I don't know. Just unbelievable. So this is Madison's Instagram post. This is her reaction to her partner being arrested for murder. She doesn't give a fuck.
It's all in me. Do you know what I say? Fuck them. Exclamation point. Fuck them. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Fuck them. Well, sorry, Madison, but personally, I'd say fuck you. I mean, what is that about? You didn't have to make that post, did you? You didn't have to. You can stay silent, you can just, I think a lot of people have got sympathy for you. Well, I certainly have had sympathy for you just because you're so young. You're so young. Just, it's almost paedophilia, really, with a grown man and a 19-year-old, in my opinion. Anyway, someone I know, when I was talking to them about you and trying to stick up for you, I've tried to stick up for you right from the beginning, said, oh, she's probably been a weapon from when she was 14. Yeah, but maybe she has. But, I still feel for you because, well, I did. But looking at this video now, I just think, oh, my God, you just don't care, do you? You don't care.
Fuck them. Alex and fun.
So, you could have taken all that beauty because you are a beautiful girl, or, don't have any more fillers. I wouldn't recommend that at all, because that's not going to look good in 10 years. You are a beautiful girl. You could have done so much more with your beauty. You could have been a proper model. You know, why be on sort of showing photos of yourself so degrading, you know? I just don't understand it. Anyway, maybe you've just not had the right opportunities in life. I don't know. Maybe your head was turned by money or the glamour. Sometimes girls like bad boys, I suppose. But I just don't, I just don't get it. To me, you are a child. It's just a child. You might think you're not, but you are. Believe me, when you get to my advanced age, when I was 19, I thought I knew it all as well, though I wasn't doing the things you're doing, though. I wasn't an angel, don't get me wrong. But, when you get older, you realise you didn't know anything, really. Anyway, I do feel for you. But it's difficult. It's difficult when you're doing things like this, because this was unnecessary.
Do you know what I say? Fuck them! Exclamation point! Fuck them! Yeah. Fuck them.
There you go. Fuck them, but I expect they're at the moment currently saying, fuck you. It's like, what do you want from people? You're not going to get any sympathy, are you? Okay, what am I going to show you to finish off? I've shown you more or less so I just wanted to say what had happened, that it is true. Apparently, it's all so it's in the Irish media, it's in the Spanish media. The guy, which I presume is Johnny Smith, has been arrested in Portugal. He's appearing in court this morning. I expect there'll be more news coming out quite soon about whether the extradition was successful. I don't think for a minute it won't have been successful, because Spain and Portugal, they've got a good relationship. How can it not be? How can it not be successful? So Johnny will be coming back to Alicante. He'll have to appear in Torrevieja court, and yeah, good. So hopefully justice is coming for John George, finally coming. Have I got anything? Let me just check if I've got anything else to show you. I don't think so. A ver, I'm talking Spanish now. I've got my Spanish head off for those reading that thing. Yeah. Any further news or any extent? And let me just check to make sure there isn't any before I finish. Because quite often what happens is I do a live or I do a video and then some more news comes out. So let me just check before I finish. I can't see any. Mind you, I could look, and literally as soon as I finish, something will come up. Yeah, sorry. Right, sorry, just commenting now. Okay, I'm going. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for caring about John and his family, of course. It's such good news, but of course it's still sad, because at the end of the day, John George is dead and they won't be seeing that lovely smile anymore. But at least now they're going to get justice, and that's all that remains now. They want justice for this. Their son, their brother, their friend, their cousin, their father, of course. Those two boys need justice. So I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Justice for John. Bye.